The Aurora's wraith drifted silently through the Zephyrian expanse, its blackened hull scraping against unseen currents of charged particles. Captain Kira Voss stood on the observation deck, hands clasped behind her back, eyes fixed on the shimmering haze beyond the viewport. Here, at the galactic rim, stars were swallowed in mascaras of red and orange nebulae, and salvage opportunities were as rare as fresh water. Sensor sweep complete, reported Ensign Hyrule Patel from the helm station. Her fingers danced across the holo display, zooming in on a flickering blip barely distinguishable from background radiation. Object ID: derelict transport class vessel, designation unknown. Life sign: very faint, single source. Kira's pulse quickened. Rumors swirled among spacer crews of a lost freighter, rumored to have carried a specimen of the elusive dragon predator. Most dismissed the stories as superstition. The predator was a myth, a relic of war. But if the ship truly held one, and if it survived? Voss inhaled, adjusting her comm link. Prepare boarding party. We move in 60. 2 hours later, the Wraith's airlock coughed open onto the ghostly expanse of deep space. Kira and her 4-man boarding team, Hyrule, Lieutenant Jax Martel, Dr. Celine Rowe, and heavy weapons specialist Greer Ong, crossed the void in tethered suits. The derelict's hull was scarred and pitted, encrusted in a thick layer of crystalline foam that glittered like rusted gemstones. Jax's magnetic boots clanked as he led the way to the main hatch. Looks like it's been here a long time. Systems are offline. External seals compromised. He pried the panel and let out a soft curse when it yielded with a groan. A hiss of depressurized air followed by a rush of ground-up ash-like particles filled their masks. Celine activated her portable scanner. Radiation levels are low, biological signatures faint and irregular. She frowned. But there's something big moving inside, sir. Slow, but definitely alive. Kira nodded. Keep those readings coming. Greer, stay sharp. The heavy weapons specialist simply grunted, his rifle's tracking laser painting dim paths through the airborne dust. Inside, the corridors were a labyrinth of collapsed conduits and shattered storage crates. Fungal growths, ghostly bioluminescent tendrils, crept along exposed wiring, casting an eerie green glow. Every footfall sent plumes of ash drifting downward, like the last breaths of a dying star. Hyrule's voice crackled in Kira's earpiece. I'm picking up intense thermal readings 2 decks below. Whatever's down there is not cold-blooded. The captain's lips curved in a determined smile. Lead on, Ensign. They descended through smoke-choked stairwells past a cargo hold where overturned crates spilled sacks of alien produce, each shaped pod oozing iridescent sap that steamed on contact with the hull plates. Kira suppressed a shiver. A predator would have no trouble tearing through these passages. At the bottom, the central chamber door towered before them, half ajar. Kira pressed her palm to the access panel. It sputtered to life with erratic sparks. The door slid open with a tortured screech, revealing a cavernous space lit by the pale glow of stalled reactor coils. And there it was. Curled atop a collapsed support beam lay the dragon predator. Its body spanned nearly 20 meters from snout to tail tip, scales layered like interlocking armor plates. Even through their visors, the crew could see centuries of grime. Blackened ash caked between joints, matted tufts of bristly hair hanging from its neck, and pebble-like growths of oxidized minerals fusing with its wings. The creature's chest rose and fell in slow, deliberate breaths. Each exhale billowed ghostly plumes of dark vapor, drifting toward the broken ceiling vents. Its tail, the size of a small freighter's keel, was wrapped around a corroded console, as if seeking support. Silence fell. The only sound was the low hum of the Wraith's life support suits and the Predator's steady respiration. Kira took a tentative step forward, heart pounding. It hasn't moved in. She swallowed. 2,000 years. Lieutenant Martel raised an eyebrow. Or hasn't been able to. Kira's gaze flicked to Greer, who remained stoic, finger poised on the trigger. We came for salvage, she said, voice steady. But if it's alive, it's more valuable than any. Cargo, stand by for recovery protocols. As the crew assembled hydro washers and biogel sprayers, the Predator's amber eyes finally opened. Slowly, deliberately, revealing depths of ancient intelligence. In that moment, Kira knew they stood on the brink of discovery, an encounter, with a being older than many stars, and a challenge unlike any the Expanse had ever witnessed. Reyes strode into the central chamber as if he owned the place. Hydro washer slung over his shoulder, tool belt jangling. He was lean and wiry, with a perpetual dusting of grime on his jumpsuit and an easy grin that belied the chaos of his profession. "Name's Carter Reyes," he announced, voice echoing off metal walls. "Or Cart, if you prefer. I'm here to clean up your mess." The rest of the salvage team looked on warily. They'd never seen a foreman so eager to scramble down into a dragon's gullet, especially one that hadn't moved in 2 millennia. Lieutenant Martell crossed his arms. "You really think you can wash it off?" he asked, skepticism in every syllable. 2,000 years of cosmic filth? Cart laughed, clapping a hand on the Predator's scaly flank. The creature's amber eyes flicked open, but Cart met its gaze unflinchingly. "I've stripped, jade off Martian juggernauts and polished the bioshell of Gorath beasts. This," he motioned expansively at the encrusted behemoth, "is just another Monday." Dr. Celine Rowe adjusted her xenobiogel scanner. "Cart, these scales are fused with irradiated minerals, and those black ash deposits, some of them are actively corrosive." Cart nodded unfazed. "That's why I brought the cleansers and the ozone rigs. We'll neutralize the acid, blast away that ash, then let the nano scrubbers finish the job." He tapped the side of his head. "Plus, I've got a few proprietary tricks up my sleeve." As the crew scrambled to set up equipment, Cart unrolled a schematic of the Predator's physiology on a holomap. "We start at the wings," he instructed. "They're the largest surface area, so clearing those gives us room to work. Then, we move to the joints where the grime really binds." Hyrule Patel calibrated the hydro washer's pressure gauge. "Be careful with the membranes," she cautioned. "Too much pressure and we could rupture the wing webbing." Cart gave Hyrule a bemused smile. "I was a hydraulic engineer on Arcadia Station before I found my true calling." He winked. "Restoration." With a flick, he activated the washers. High-pressure jets of warm water hissed to life, carving bright rivulets through centuries of encrustation. The Predator, muscles tensing at the sudden onslaught, let out a rumbling growl that resonated through the hull. Greer Ong steadied his rifle even as he adjusted the UV detection lights. "I've got corrosive pockets here," he reported. "Looks like some kind of sulfuric residue." Cart ducked beneath a dripping scale plate, nozzle trained on the thickest patch of yellow-green slag. "Ozone mist now," he called. A cloud of shimmering gas enveloped the area, neutralizing the acid with a soft crackle. All around them the ancient creature writhed, once rigid, now giving way to the strange comfort of the wash. Bioluminescent veins, long dormant, flickered as their chemical inhibitors were flushed away. Cart didn't flinch as a wash of hot water sluiced over his boots. "That's it," he encouraged. "Let it breathe." Above the roar of the washers, Captain Voss watched from the threshold. Under Cart's confident direction, the Predator was transforming before her eyes, scales shifting from coal black to emerald green, bristly hair clumping into smooth tufts, and wing spines gleaming like polished metal. Cart climbed onto a reinforced platform to reach the creature's neck crests. He paused to observe the fine ridges, then switched to a precision laser scraper. "Gentle now," he murmured, tracing the crest's contours. Below him, the Predator exhaled in a deep, shuddering sigh, long, dormant lungs igniting with new life. As the first true colors of the dragon Predator emerged from beneath millennia of neglect, Cart steadied himself against its flank. "Almost there," he whispered. And in that moment the foreman's mischievous grin met the ancient beast's wary gaze, sealing a fragile truce formed in soap and steam. The hiss of steam echoed through the chamber as Cart Reyes adjusted the hydro washer's pressure, coaxing a fine mist from the nozzle. Dr. Celine Rowe hovered nearby with her biogel sprayer, ready to apply regenerative serums as soon as the corrosive ash was gone. Around them, the salvage crew had retreated to reinforced observation kiosks, none willing to face the full force of centuries-old grime unleashed in a single spray. Cart aimed the mist at the predator's massive flank, where layers of petrified detritus formed a rocky crust. The water carved channels through the soot, exposing scales that shimmered with dull, buried color. With each pass, the creature's low growls rose in intensity, the vibrations rattling overhead conduits. Cart held his ground, even as the deck shuddered beneath the predator's restless movements. "Watch the wing joints," Hiro Patel's voice crackled over the comlink. "Pressure too high and you'll tear the membranes." Cart flicked a dial, easing the flow until the mist became a soft drizzle. He then switched to the precision laser scraper, tracing the delicate filigree of the wing's bone ridges. As the last of the black ash gave way, a faint iridescence spread across the membrane like oil on water. With the bulk of the grime cleared, Celine stepped forward and unleashed her biogel. The viscous serum ran into every crevice where its nanofibers sought out microfractures in the predator's shell. Under her careful watch, the gel pulsed with violet light, knitting together corroded scales and filling gaps left by centuries of neglect. The dragon shuddered, as if savoring the healing touch. Finally, Cart activated the ozone purifier. A silent cloud drifted through the chamber, neutralizing any lingering acidic residues. In the hush that followed, the predator spread its wings fully for the first time, revealing their true span, a breathtaking tapestry of emerald veins and silver filaments. Steam rose from its wet hide in swirling plumes, and for a heartbeat, the beast stood still, reborn. Cart wiped his brow and climbed down from his makeshift scaffold. Around him, the crew exchanged looks of awe. The dragon predator, once a sleeping monument to the void, now stood vibrant and powerful. In its eyes, Cart thought he saw something new. Not hostility, but recognition. As the first rays of the nearby star filtered through the shattered hull, the chamber seemed to glow with possibility. The bath was over, but a new chapter in their shared fate had only just begun. Beneath the gentle hiss of the ozone purifier, the predator's newly exposed scales caught stray beams of light and refracted them into prismatic flickers. Cart Reyes crouched beside Dr. Celine Rowe as she prepared the next phase of treatment. Regenerative serums formulated to coax ancient cells back to full vitality. "These serums are keyed to its unique xenobiology," Celine explained, voice tight with concentration. "They'll repair microfractures in the dermal layers and jumpstart mitochondrial activity." She injected a vial's worth into the biogel reservoir, then swept the glowing mixture across a swath of polished flank. Instantly, the serum seeped into the creature's tissue, pulsing along bioluminescent veins like molten starlight. The predator rumbled, a deep, resonant note that shook loose particles from overhead ducts. Cart braced himself against a support strut, watching as clusters of scales knit themselves together, smoothing over chips and fissures. Lieutenant Martel monitored the chamber's environmental readings. Oxygen saturation rising, toxin levels falling. Its metabolic rate is spiking. He tapped at his console. "It's accelerating. Be ready for a reaction." Cart nodded and climbed onto a graded platform to reach higher ridges. With a soft rasp, the predator shifted so that its massive head lowered, granting him access. He ran a gloved hand over the creature's cheek plate, now glossy emerald, and felt a subtle warmth emanating from beneath. As the final serum coursed through its system, the dragon's eyes, once dulled by eons of stasis, flickered with new clarity. Pupils contracted, then dilated, revealing intricate patterns of gold and jade. Cart met the gaze without flinching, offering an open palm as a gesture of peace. Slowly, the predator extended a forelimb, claws clicking against the grated floor. It tested the strength of its regenerated muscles, flexing each joint in a deliberate stretch. The room was silent save for the rhythmic hiss of sterilizers. Then, with a breath that rattled the steel girders, the beast bowed its head before Cart. Celine let out a soft exhale. It understands what we've done. Captain Voss stepped forward into the chamber, her boots clicking on the grated catwalk. It's more than gratitude, she observed. It's reverence. The predator lowered itself to one knee, wings folding in a gesture never taught or commanded, only chosen. In that act lay a bond deeper than language, born of compassion and perseverance. Cart placed a hand on the creature's massive skull and whispered, "You're home now." And as the ozone cloud dissipated into the filtered vents, the ancient dragon rose with quiet dignity, reborn and ready to reclaim its place among the stars, guided by the hands that had washed away millennia of neglect. The refit bay glowed with soft bioluminescent light as the Aurora's wraith underwent its most radical transformation yet. Where once stood stripped reactor guts and cracked plating, now rose living flora domes fed by nano-irrigation lines. Holographic waterfalls cascaded into mist-filled basins, their gentle roar masking the hum of freshly activated systems. At the center of it all lay Alix, the dragon predator, resting on a bed of cushioned struts, tail coiled loosely around new structural pillars. Cart Reyes paced alongside Dr. Celine Rowe as she ran final diagnostics on the life support matrix, tailored to Alix's physiology. "Habitat readings are stable," she announced, eyes on the holo display. "Temperature, humidity, even simulated air compositions all match its native world's parameters." Cart grinned and draped a freshly laundered maintenance cloak over his shoulder. "Feels good to do more than wash for once, doesn't it?" Above them, Captain Voss emerged from the command bridge, her coat billowing in the recycled airflow. She gazed down at the creature that had once been a legend and was now a companion. "Alix," she murmured, activating the ship's universal translator. "We propose an alliance. In exchange for passage through uncharted sectors, you will guide us to hidden anomalies." The dragon's golden eyes tracked her every movement. A low, melodic rumble responded, an acceptance born of ancient honor. The crew gathered as the final seals closed. Cart climbed to Alix's side, fingertips brushing the bead of moisture misted across iridescent scales. "Ready to fly again, old friend?" he asked quietly. With a sudden flex, the dragon unfolded its wings, each membrane catching the light in a riot of emeralds and violets. The sound was like the rush of distant cyclones, a promise of power and freedom. Moments later, the wraith lurched as its engines roared to life. Alix wheeled within its new sanctuary before bursting upward, wings beating against the gravity field. The domes swayed, droplets scattering like diamonds, yet held firm. Through the reinforced viewport, the crew watched as the dragon soared out of the bay, trailing vapor and light. As the ship slid into hyperspace, the nebulae outside fractured into kaleidoscopic streams. Kira Voss looked to Cart, sharing a silent acknowledgement. They had rescued a creature of myth, given it a home, and in turn unlocked the mysteries of the void. Below them, Alix's silhouette shimmered, a guardian reborn, guiding humanity toward horizons yet undreamed. And so began their voyage into the unknown, bound by soap, serums, and a bond that would echo through the stars for centuries to come.